The San Jose Sharks offense gets stuck in the mud, at least for the first two periods, in their 4-2 loss to the Chicago Blackhawks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Western Conference Tuesdays on the Locked On NHL channel. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well. And today, the Sharks offense cannot get it in gear for the first two periods. Will Smith has arguably his best. It's not even arguably. Will Smith has his best NHL game. We dig into the numbers and how important the Granlund, Eklund, Toffoli line is, and some expected changes are coming. So we'll dive into that. So before we get to all that, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right. The offense. This was a game where, like, if you watch any of my little preview things or whatever, I thought this was the game where you would hopefully see some building. Like we saw against the Stars, the offense had its moments, and yes, I know a lot of the goals there in that game were kind of off of turnovers, etc. But you kind of saw a little bit of spurts, and and it felt like against an inferior opponent, not inferior, but I guess more equal footing opponent like the Blackhawks, that this would be a game where the Sharks offense could come to life. And you might see some sustained zone time and fun stuff like that. Instead, the Sharks come out flat, which, I mean, to be honest, this was probably the worst game we have seen the Sharks play this entire season, all four games. And you're going to have those stinkers, right? And we know this team is trying to turn the page and from last year, right? And we saw plenty of these types of games from the Sharks last year. So I'll be interested to see how they come out of the gates tomorrow. But this was easily, though, just the offense couldn't get anything going. They couldn't sustain. Even the first 10 minutes for both teams, it just kind of felt like a feeling out process for them until Chicago really kind of found their groove. Next thing you know, it's 2-0. But maybe it could have been just because of the amount of penalties that the Sharks had. Seven power play opportunities, including two separate 5-on-3s for the Blackhawks, where they couldn't really find a rhythm. But it felt more just like the Granlund line wasn't clicking to start the game. And if that Granlund line isn't clicking, nothing else is really happening in this game. And it wasn't until the third period when the Granlund line started to click that the Sharks offense started to go magically. So it was very disappointing in that fact that it was you kind of were hoping that this might be the game where you can kind of see the Shang has said it a lot, a proof of concept, in his writing. It was what the Sharks kind of envision this team to be as it kind of grows and develops. And you thought that this might be one of those proof of concept games where you could see this team starting to kind of get things going, and especially against a team like the Blackhawks, who are very much in the same situation as the Sharks, where you're building around your franchise player and you have some older guys and very two evenly matched teams. And it was just really disappointing that, again, the Sharks just couldn't get out of the gate fast, especially when you have 4 first period shots and 7 second period shots. So you had 11 shots in the first 2 periods. In the third period, you double that up and get 11, or you equal that to get a total of 22. But it's because this was kind of hoping the game that you would be able to see something, and we could come on here and talk about that first win, and like, okay, like this game was just a nice little like reward for the way the Sharks have played the past couple games, where the being kind of that pesky Sharks team, and you just didn't see that pesky Sharks team tonight. So but I mean, one of the other big highlights from tonight, though, was Will Smith's play. So Will Smith got bumped down to the third line where he played with Barclay Goodrow and Luke Kunin, and it was easily his best NHL game. And you saw Ryan Warsofsky. I think Ryan Warsofsky, I don't know if maybe he listens to the podcast and says, hey, we should get Will Smith out there a little bit more. But Will Smith tonight played 19 minutes and 9 seconds. And part of it, a little bit game script, right? Especially when you're down, multiple goals. You're not trying to protect the leader. You're not trying to hold a lead. You have a little bit more leash with some of these young guys to go out there and get their feet wet. And I think that is one of the positives about this game is where I think Will Smith really showed a lot in this game. You saw a lot more confident Will Smith. You saw a guy who wasn't afraid to, like, if I make a mistake, I'm going to get plastered to the bench and not get out there because the game is tied 2-2 right now, and we can't afford me to make a mistake. So kind of two, I think they were back to back, but one shift where it was a 2-on-1 and Will Smith has the puck and he tries to kind of toe drag it and like be super, super patient. The problem is Seth Jones is a big dude with a very big stick, and he covers like half the ice there. And Seth Jones made a great play to stop that. And that's one of those where I think as Smith goes on, he'll just learn to just like shoot the puck, like just shoot the puck there, right? Especially if you have a 2-on-1, right? What Drew Remenda says all the time, like shoot for a rebound, or Brett Hedigan would say it all the time, like shoot for a rebound. In that situation, like Will Smith has a great shot, like shoot it and see what happens going from there. Worst case scenario is the goalie stops it and you have an offensive zone draw. Next, I'm pretty sure it's the next shift. Will Smith gets the puck and it's a tough angle shot. Like it's kind of along the goal line there, but he gets it, no hesitation, just rips it. Right. And I love that mentality from Smith of like, okay, like just go. Like you're stop thinking, stop trying to be, just go and like just get the puck on goal. You never know what happens from there. And I think for Smith, like you saw a lot of positive stuff of being a little bit more creative in the offensive zone, being, kind of utilizing his line mates. And maybe right now he just needs a guy, either Barclay Goodrow or Luke Kunin type of player who can just kind of do all the dirty work for him. And go be that forechecking guy, go get the puck, and Will Smith can kind of be more of a distributor on the line, at least right now. And I think also playing on the third line where you're, just a little bit further down the lineup again, which usually means the competition you're playing is a little bit further down the lineup. So credit to Ryan Warsofsky for kind of realizing like, Will Smith said he was kind of frustrated after last game, especially only playing 10 minutes. And I think tonight, utilizing an opportunity, right? A game where you were down multiple goals, you needed some offense. Will Smith, offensive player, got out there, and he got out there on some power play time. He got, you wasn't stapled to the bench. He, played a bunch of shifts, got out there at the end when they were down, when it was a 6-on-5, extended 6-on-5 time, like, putting him in situations where he can continue to get comfortable. And I thought this was a great night for Will Smith. Granted the score, and like just as a reminder, the scores don't matter. This whole season is about the development of Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. And as a team, like learning to eventually start winning games and seeing who's going to be a part of your future, like. So yes, it stinks losing, and I'm hope at some point soon we do get to talk about a game where the Sharks win. But this I think was a big win for Will Smith's kind of development and what we expect to see. And hopefully, Ryan Warsofsky continues to put Will Smith in situations to succeed going forward, whether that's maybe some power play one time, whether that's maybe finding a scorer that he can put with it, like plenty of stuff there. But I still like good night from Will Smith. Good to see him kind of bounce back from a tough game where, he just didn't get a lot of opportunities. Got a ton of opportunities. I think he made the most. He made a lot of good things happen tonight. So love to see that from him. Some nice passes, a good shot on goal, a couple nice shot attempts, etc. Like good to see there. So we're going to look at the numbers behind this game, kind of talk about the differences between the first and second period and the third period, where it felt very much like the Blackhawks took their foot off the gas and the Sharks kind of getting back into it, how important the Eklund, Granlund, Toffoli line is. And then, of course, talk about some changes we might see for Friday night's game. So we'll get to that here in just 1 second. If you want to get on the action, you need to check out Prize Picks. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Great thing about Prize Picks is they're the best place to get real sports action. There's over 10 million users. You can sign up today. They got new things going all the time. And even if you live in California, you can still play Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. So if you think this weekend, Justin Jefferson's going to have a monster weekend, if you think maybe we see a Will Smith goal Friday night or Sunday, or whatever it is, just go to Prize Picks and you can make your lineups with whatever sports you prefer. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly off your after your first play of $5 lineup. Again, download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, before we continue, do of course want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network. You cover your team every day. For your second day, go check out one of the other great shows here in the Locked On Network. You have Locked On Fantasy Hockey. So if you're dealing with some injuries, if you have like a bunch of Blue Jackets on your team, like Johnson, you need to find a replacement for him. Locked On Fantasy Hockey has got you covered. Or check out any of the shows here in the Bay Area. You got Locked On Niners, get you guys ready for the big Chiefs game this weekend. Locked On Warriors with preseason basketball back. Locked On Giants, Locked On A's. Find any of those shows wherever you get podcasts, wherever you get this podcast, or you can watch on YouTube as well. All right. What do the numbers say about this game? And the Sharks very much 100% put lipstick on the pig in this game. Because if you look at the final numbers at 5v5, you're like, yeah, that's not too bad. I've seen worse from the Sharks. Shot attempts, 45-40 in favor of the Blackhawks. That's your Corsi 4. Actual shots, at least at 5-on-5, 13-12, which again shows just how much of this game was played on the special teams. Scoring chances, 15-13 in favor of the Blackhawks. High danger chances, 8-3 in favor of the Blackhawks. 1.7 to 1.44 expected goals for in favor of the Blackhawks. But very much third period for the Sharks, where they were able to kind of even things up. 17-7 actual shot attempts at 5-on-5. That doesn't include the 6-on-5 at the end. This is just even 5-on-5 scenarios here. That really kind of evened it up. Even the second period, the Sharks really kind of put the pressure after that 5-on-3. The first one, Sharks really kind of climbed back in it, and when they scored that goal there, they were really kind of pushing there and making things happen there. And that's kind of when you saw the Eklund line, the Eklund Granlund Toffoli line really kick it into gear. At one point, I think I tweeted out where, if you want to know why the Sharks offense is bad, it's because the Eklund line was really bad. So they had one shot attempt and gave up 8 at one point. It was kind of right around, halfway point of the second period. That line tonight ended up with 7 shot attempts and gave up 10. So they really turned things around in the second half of this game. And that's where you saw the offense come to life, is because that line came together. So that line played 851. Like I said, 7 shot attempts, 10 given up. Actual shots was 4-1. Did have a goal there. Granlund and Eklund together, man. Part of me is very much, and this is a conversation for another day, but like Granlund could get you something kind of nice at the trade deadline, but anyway, save that for another day. They had 1 goal for, expected goals for 0.35 to 0.21 with 1 to 3 scoring chances, 1 to 1 high danger chances. So like that line really dictates how the Sharks are going to kind of go right now. They're a one-line team, especially until when Celebrini gets back. You can probably be able to kind of create 2 lines. But right now, this team is a one-line team with Mikael Granlund and Eklund kind of leading the way there. Both those guys, 2 assists tonight. The first goal, Eklund, Granlund does a great job of kind of beating 2, kind of splitting 2 guys to get the puck and get it back to Eklund. And then Eklund, slippery guy, kind of sliding around, just finding some space, kind of working around, finding some space, and then finds Toffoli with a great pass. And Toffoli literally just has to put his stick down and it's in the net. Tyler Toffoli is going to score the most amount of goals this season for the Sharks unless he gets injured. And the second goal was, Granlund making a really great pass to Fabian Zetterlund. Nice to see the Lund line reunited for a short Lund line supremacy there. But next 5v5 ice time, Luke Cunnin, Will Smith, and Barclay Goodrow. They played 846, 12 to 3 shot attempts. Actual shots was 3-3. 0.36 to 0.14 expected goals for. That line had the most expected goals for. 2-0 scoring chances, 1-0 high danger chances. So we'll talk. Good to see, like we talked about Will Smith, good to see his line be very good tonight. I still think they need some more scoring on that line, and there's ways. If only they had like a 5'8" Russian sitting in the press box who could just shoot the living bejesus out of the puck, but never find one of those. The next line, Zetterlund, Wenberg, and Klim-Kostin played 6-13. They had 9-12 shot attempts with 3-3 actual shots. Did give up a goal, 0.14 to 0.53 expected goals for. 4-5 scoring chances there. Interesting though, Kostin and Dellandrea swapped later. So I wonder if we see something with a big travel up to Winnipeg and the gate. We're not going to see a morning skate, so we probably won't know the lines until literally right before the game starts. But just interesting to see there. And then Nico Sturm, Ty Dellinger, and Carl Grundstrom played 533, 3-8 shot attempts, 0-2 actual shots, 0.08 to 0.23 expected goals for. So, and Dellinger definitely kind of was the guy on that line who who was the brightest out of those 3 guys. And that's probably why, and he's played well, I think, since the season has started, probably why he deserved getting that bump up there. So, but you see just how important that Eklund, Granlund, Toffoli line is right now, because especially without Celebrini, which is such a weird thing to say for an 18-year-old player who's played one NHL game, the team they just don't have enough line drivers right now. And so Ryan Warsofsky's relying heavily on this top line to just do stuff for them because they need it. They need these guys to kind of play and play well and produce for them. And so far, like, this line has been productive for them with the scoring. It'll be nice to see if they can eventually get two lines that can kind of be productive for them. So, but I think though Eklund played really well tonight, especially he was a game time decision with an upper body injury. Played 1902 tonight. Like I thought he played really, really well tonight. So yeah, for the defense, like it's Jake Wallman is playing a ton of minutes, and I don't know if they trust Matt Benning coming back from his injury right now, which it might be intriguing to see what they do here, especially we'll talk about that here in a minute with some potential changes. But really quick, Vitek Vanacek tonight. So he played, of course, the whole game. All situations, had 23 saves on 27 shots. 4 goals against, expected goals against is 3.91, so kind of right we expected them. 852 save percentage. There goes our get a goalie over 900 save percentage. We're still fighting that. 5 high danger saves on 8 high danger shots, 7 for 8 mid danger, and 11 for 11. And a lot of those goals by the Blackhawks were very pretty. A lot of, like, you would hope the defenseman would kind of move a guy or be in out of the, but I thought Vanacek played pretty well tonight. I'm not going to fault him for too much against for what happened in this game. So we'll get to some potential changes, as Ryan Warsofsky himself has said. Expect lineup changes against the Jets. So we'll talk about that here in just 1 second. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So again, I don't know how many times I'm going to say it. As long as Tua is not playing, keep hammering the Dolphins unders, because that offense, it's very 1950s football without Tua. So you can do all that and more over at FanDuel.com. And if you want to get tickets to go check out a game at the Tank, maybe you want to go to a Niners game, want to go check out the Warriors, or whatever it is that you want to do, you need to check out Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You have curated deals that make it easier to find the best price on great seats. So if you're kind of like me and you have to take a whole family and you kind of want cheaper seats up in the nosebleeds because your kids are going to want to go walk around for half the game, cool, they got you covered for that. You can, of course, see your seats before you buy. They have the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. There's plenty of things to protect you as the consumer. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the account, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, let's finish up by discussing some potential changes, as Ryan Warsofsky himself said after the game. Expect lineup changes as they try to get their first win of the night. So, yeah, I think you have to, for a team that is like cannot score goals right now, you might have to sacrifice some defense in the forward group to get a guy like Danil Gushchin in the game. Who's the guy? I mean, I think you have to point to a guy like Klim Kostin, who got demoted tonight. And Klim Kostin's very much one of those, like, if you're not scoring for me, what are you doing for me type of players, right? Because you don't really see Costin on the penalty kill. He's a second unit power play guy. That would be the one where I'm looking at to see if maybe he loses his spots. And maybe if you want to do something like I'm keeping the Granlund line, like that line is staying that until Celebrini gets back. I know I've discussed maybe splitting them up, but I think you have to try to create offense out with Swear instead of separating your top line right now, because the Sharks are just that line is too important for them. And I worry, like, maybe if you put the Lund line back together, like that could be another potential thing. Try to get I know Zetterlund scored tonight, but haven't really seen a lot out of Zetterlund. Maybe you put the Lund line, but right now I'm keeping the Eklund line together because that line is just it's too important right now. You're trying to build another line, I think, is the best idea. So if you want to keep Will Smith on the third line, have Wenberg on the second line, maybe like having Gushchin play on the second line with Zetterlund and just tell Zetterlund, like, you need to forecheck like crazy right now. Like that's your job. Your job is go get puck. Go get the puck, boy. That's your job. Like that's maybe what you do there for that line, and maybe something like that helps get Zetterlund going a little bit here. But I can see Gushchin sliding in there, or maybe you split up as well as like the Cunnin Goodrow like pairs. Maybe you split those up and you put like Luke Cunnin. If you want to put Luke Cunnin on the second line and go Cunnin, go get puck, and that's what Cunnin does. And then you use Zetterlund as your scorer with Wenberg as your setup guy, and then on the third line, Barclay Goodrow, go get puck with Smith as your setup guy and Gushchin as your scorer, and then at least you have some balanced lines there. And you know, in the third line, like the fourth line, like I think Dellandrea, Sturm, like Grunstrom, those guys are really important when it comes to the actual like penalty kills and playing. You can maybe use them in more of a defensive, you know, like setup. Like if you need a kind of a shutdown line. Like I think that could be their role. So if you have like a big defensive zone face off, like you throw out that line, right? And so with Sturm winning the draw most of the time, like that could be the setup you go. I'm curious to see if they with the defense. And I was kind of touching on too with Matt Benning and his playing time, and he's looked a little meh coming back from his injury, and the Sharks need more puck moving defensemen. Oh, look. The guy who's been sitting in the press box the past couple of games, Jack Thompson. You know what he's really good at doing? Moving the puck out of his zone. And if you want to pair him with Henry Thrun on the third pair there, that at least gives you like Wallman who can move the puck. Wallman's looked great so far, like great trade. Wallman's looked great so far. But getting a guy like Jack Thompson in, getting some games in, see how he does. I don't be surprised if Jack Thompson is playing. That's all. I know they have like a lot of veteran guys there, but at some point, like he said, yeah, I think it's you're gonna need to see him in there. So, right, get him in there. Maybe Matt Benning, take a night off. Go, just take a night off, take a breather. So. Expect to see Mackenzie Blackwood, and then we'll see kind of how they play it for Colorado with maybe whoever has the best night tonight, or if Mackenzie Blackwood plays well, maybe you put him in on Sunday night, or you just keep alternating right now because it's working. But yeah, I expect to see some changes. I would love to see Gushchin in if you can, and I'd love to see Jack Thompson in because I think the Sharks. I think you need to try to generate more offense. And if you have to sacrifice some of your defensive responsibilities, so be it. Just because this team is not like you're scoring 2 goals a game right now, basically. So, yeah, I would like to let's see some more offense. So, especially because you have, yeah, you're pretty much like on the every other day schedule here after this with Colorado and like another road trip, kind of mainly pretty close road trip, but still a road trip here. So I'm like to see them try to kind of see if they can generate some offense before they head into this road trip here. So that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back Friday night after the Sharks Jets game. So make sure you follow along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.